In a quaint corner of Greenwich Village, where streets twist and turn like tangled yarn, there lived two young artists, Sue and Johnsy. They shared a modest studio apartment on the third floor of an old brick building. That November, pneumonia swept through the artist colony like an unwelcome ghost. Johnsy, frail as a winter sparrow, fell ill and lay in her iron bed, gazing through the window at the brick wall of the neighboring building. She has 1 chance in 10. The doctor whispered solemnly to Sue in the hallway, his clinical thermometer ticking softly. Johnsy began counting something outside her window, ivy leaves falling from an ancient vine. 12, 11, 10, each count growing more faint and desperate. When the last leaf falls, I must go too. Her voice barely above a whisper. Below their apartment lived old Berman, a painter who had never created his masterpiece. When Sue told him about Johnsy's condition, he responded gruffly but with hidden concern. Is there people in the world mit their foolishness to die because leaves they drop off from a confounded vine? He said, his voice trembling with emotion. That night, as rain and sleet pounded against the windows, something remarkable happened. The next morning, 1 stubborn leaf remained, perfectly still despite the howling wind. This single leaf gave Johnsy hope, and slowly her spirit returned. Only later did they discover the truth. Berman had painted his masterpiece that stormy night, a single, perfect leaf that would never fall. He had given his life to save Johnsy's, succumbing to pneumonia after spending that cold night painting in the rain. In his final act, he had finally created his masterpiece, not on canvas, but on a brick wall, where a single painted leaf brought hope to a dying girl. Something has made that last leaf stay there, Johnsy said softly, her voice filled with newfound wisdom. I've been a bad girl, Sudie. It's a sin to want to die. Hope bloomed in her voice as she continued. You may bring me a little broth now, and some milk with a little port in it. And bring me a hand mirror first. I want to sit up and watch you cook. Later that day, with renewed spirit, she spoke of her dreams again. Sudie, someday I hope to paint the Bay of Naples. When the doctor visited that afternoon, he pulled Sue into the hallway. Even chances, he said with quiet optimism, squeezing her trembling hand. But his next words carried a shadow. I must see another case downstairs. Berman. Pneumonia, too. No hope for him, I'm afraid. The following day brought both joy and sorrow. She's out of danger, the doctor announced about Johnsy. You've won. That afternoon, as Johnsy contentedly knitted a blue woolen scarf, Sue sat beside her with heavy news in her heart. I have something to tell you, White Mouse. Mr. Berman died of pneumonia today, she continued softly. They found him in his room, soaked through from the storm. And dear, look out the window at that last ivy leaf. Haven't you wondered why it never moves, even in the strongest wind? Ah, darling, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. It's Berman's masterpiece. He painted it there the night that the last leaf fell. The lasting legacy of Berman's sacrifice wasn't just the painted leaf on the wall. It was the spark of hope it ignited in a young artist's heart, proving that sometimes the greatest masterpieces aren't found in galleries. but in simple acts of love. The days that followed brought healing and change to the small studio apartment. Johnsy grew stronger, her artistic passion rekindling with each passing day. She'd often sit by the window, sketching pad in hand, occasionally glancing at Berman's leaf, her constant reminder of life's precious value. "You know, Sue," she said thoughtfully one evening, "that leaf teaches me something new every day." Her voice carried a quiet wisdom that hadn't been there before. Sue would often catch Johnsy explaining to visiting artists about the remarkable leaf that never fell. She'd tell the story with reverence, her voice soft but sure. "It's more than just paint on brick," she'd say. "It's a masterpiece of the heart." Spring eventually came to Greenwich Village. New ivy leaves sprouted around Berman's painted one, creating a beautiful blend of life and art. But everyone in the artist colony knew which leaf was special, the one that had saved a life and fulfilled an old painter's dream. Years later, when Johnsy finally painted her Bay of Naples, she added something unusual in the corner, a single ivy leaf. When asked about it, she would smile gently and say, "Sometimes the smallest masterpiece can hold the biggest piece of someone's heart." And so, in that little district west of Washington Square, where the streets run crazy and break themselves into small places, Berman's masterpiece continued to tell its story, not in a grand gallery or museum, but on a humble brick wall where it had served its perfect purpose. In the end, O. Henry's tale reminds us that true art isn't measured by its place in a gallery, but by its power to touch lives and inspire hope, even if it's just one leaf, painted on one cold night by one faithful heart.